What role do childhood experiences play in shaping how we react as adults?
It's all part of that 35, 40, 50%. There's a TV series published by the BBC called Seven Up. And what it was premised, I think it started in 1955 or somewhere around there. It premised on a credo, which I think one of the religious groups had, which was, show me the boy at 7 and I will show you the man. A very sexist driven statement, but that was in the 50s. But what they did is they identified, I think it was 14 kids of different backgrounds in England, and they've been them every 7 years. And now they're in their 80s, I think, somewhere. And I don't know, I haven't seen it for a while. But that every 7 years, you could see the fundamental traits that came out when they were 7 years old. You could see them being reflected every 7 years, pretty much through their life. And so I think why it happens, we're not totally sure. One of the things that we do know is that a lot of the fundamentals are laid down in our brain between 0 and 7.
I've gone through some mental models work as a part of me being coached. And one of them is I have to be the best. There's this belief system that if I'm not the best, then I'm not worthy. Ultimately, as you dig down through the layers, is that I don't feel worthy if I'm not. And so obviously I worked on reframing it and that my best is good enough. But that comes from a lot of places growing up in childhood around vocabulary and just expectations. And no one does anything that's intentionally wrong, I don't think. I mean, in some childhood settings, there certainly are, and I think we all have past in that way, but it definitely carries forward. And our responsibility, at least in my belief system as adults, is to identify them and then see where they've served you well up until this point, and then where they don't serve you well, how do you reframe some of those perspectives?
I'll refer back to the book. I wrote a list of about 20 things that we know have an impact. Growing up in a single parent family, for whatever reason that is, being an only child, being the eldest child, being the second eldest child, being the youngest child, all got impacts. Being in an emotionally unstable household, being in an emotionally stable household, moving house frequently, never moving house, which was me. I lived in the same house for the first 18 years. Growing up rich, growing up poor, being bullied, growing up in the country, growing up in the suburbs, in the inner city, a highly religious household, an atheist or agnostic household, close relations who are in jail, growing up with an overbearing parent, growing up with absent parents. I mean,